My name is Eddie with the, the Spokane Street Preachers, and I've done some reviews with like street preaching megaphones, the preaching gear hoodies, my Spyglass HD camera, and a bunch of other stuff, banners. I'm going to do another review that I have been using for the last couple weeks, which I'm glad I had bought. I've talked to a couple of other people. I know there's two sides of an issue on the street preaching community. There are some people that are pacifist. I understand their point, where you turn the other cheek. Then you have the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth street preacher. I'm going to protect myself by law, constitutional right. If someone wants to steal a $300 megaphone, they want to damage this, I can stop it. They want to punch my teeth in, I can stop it, and I'll protect myself. I see both sides of the issue. I see where Jesus says, if you do not have a sword, sell your cloak and buy the sword. I don't think they use swords just to go out in the desert and cut cheese and crackers for it. I believe it was used as a defensive weapon. And but like I said, turn the other cheek. Jesus says, purchase a sword. So I have a sword to speak. It's a stun gun. It's a 12 million volt stun gun that from Stun City, Florida, that I'm going to do a review on. And when I purchased it, I knew it was going to be a little bit of controversy. But I purchased it because I had a feeling that if I ever had to use it, it was going to be effective. And it is effective. I had to use it 4 or 5 days ago. I was out there with a bunch of street preachers, and we were heading back to Spokane. We were kind of we're heading to the Tri-Cities to drop off a couple of street preachers from Southern Cal, Roger Anderson, Christian LaFleur, Ryan Simpkins. And so I went to Hood River, and I saw a bunch of kayaks, kids jumping in the water. It was more like of a youth organization. I'd say there's maybe 100 kids out there, and there was adults out there too. And so I was preaching on homosexuality for 60 seconds. I knew it was going to be a short blast. It was going to be loud. It was going to hit the water, and everybody in that area was going to hear clearly what we came back to. And I preached about us going to the Portland Gay Pride Parade, which was an abomination. It was just grotesque. Naked people all around in front of children. Men were wearing fishnet stockings and G-strings and just all the perversion. And so I was explaining to them that I was really upset having to see that and have to preach that. And everybody in their kayaks, all the people were applauding this open rebellion. They were glorifying and reveling in how great it was when I was describing it. They were not for me, they were against me. They were applauding the sin that was in their streets. So I started heading back. I had a car pull up, and it was the park ranger. He chewed me out, said, the next time you do that, you need a permit. I said, okay, I apologize. But when I was heading back to the vehicle, I had other street preachers saying there's someone that's coming full force. I mean, this guy was flying. He came out of his, I don't know where he came out of the lake. He was wet, he's shirtless, and he was rooking. He was booking at me. I've been in many fights, like I said. I've won a lot and I've lost a lot, so I know how to fight. But I also know what it takes. I can also read when someone's going to punch me, and I'm not scared of persecution. But what happened was he gets within 5 feet and he starts screaming at the top of his voice. And then he cocks back. Well, I have this stun gun, and what I did was I waited until the last second, and I fired it up. And Mr. Tough Guy went from Hulk Hogan to Pee Wee Herman in a half a second. And this guy, when I fired this, the sound of it made him jump up 2 feet. His eyes were as white as, like saucers. And it was like a cat that you threw on a hot tin roof. This guy just jumped up, and he proceeded back. What was neat about it was I didn't have to get punched in the face. I didn't have to retaliate back to protect myself. No one got hurt. he also, it created distance. This guy would not come within 10 feet of me after we started exchanging and talking. So it created distance, and that's what I thought this thing would do. I don't want to use it on anybody, but I'll tell you, this will stop 9 out of 10 assaults. That's what I believe. 9 out of 10 assaults with a sound in the display. They know you're meaning business, and they'll step back. This was actually, I bought this for the person that would not stop after he sees this, and would not stop when he sees the display and power of this. That individual would be demonically possessed, and he wants to tear your head off. I'm going to drop him straight up. I'm not going to put up with that. That's my belief system. I have the right as an American, and I have a right to protect myself. If I have to, I'll drop him while he's laying on the ground. I'll keep on preaching. But I'll tell you one thing that happens. When someone gets assaulted, a street preacher gets assaulted, almost all times the police get involved. The preaching stopped. A lot of times the preacher gets arrested even though he was protecting himself. And so this avoided it all. It was real quick, it was real fast, and he stayed back. And so, like I said, I don't put absolutely any credence. I'm gonna get some comments on here, but you can comment. But if you're an armchair quarterback that has never been out on the street preaching the gospel, and the worst persecution you ever had is when you spilt a hot latte on you coming out of church, I don't want to hear it. Your opinion means nothing to me. You haven't been out there. You haven't faced the adversaries out there. But I will listen to people that have a different varying opinion. I will listen to them, street preachers. I'll look at it. I can see both sides. I flip-flop sometimes. Do I do this? Or do I have the right to do this, or do I? So I'm open to all that. But the whole purpose of this video was to show you the capability. This is a flashlight. It has 400 lumens. That's a powerful flashlight. This thing at night will light up big time. And so it's a flashlight. It has dual. And then it also, it's my sword, so to speak. If someone comes near me and when I turn this thing on, it's not going to do it justice how imposing and how loud this thing is. I have a little dinky speaker, but this thing here with 12 million volts, when they hear this, end of story. It's going to stop it's going to bring space between the preacher and the person that wants to tear his head off. He'll think twice. He'll stay. And like I said, I've seen too many videos. I've been in too many situations. And if someone gets punched and there's a group of people there and the person gets punched, the street preacher gets punched, now it's emboldened the hand of the wicked. Now it's like blood in the water, and these sharks, I mean, it's like piranhas. Oh, this guy punched him. All right, I'm going to get my shot in. I'm going to take him out. They'll think twice when this thing is out here in your hand. And so that's what I do it. And that's, like I said, it cost me $56 from Stun City, Florida. Stun gun. It's the X12. For women or someone that wants a smaller one, they have an X11 that has 10 million volts and 3.5 amps. This is 12 million volts and roughly 4 amps. And I'll tell you one thing. It's not so much the voltage. It is the amperage that does the damage. It's the amperage that circulates it into the body. It's a carrier wave in there. So if I had a 12 million volt flashlight slash stun gun and it only had a half an amp or an amp, I'm probably going to be massaging the guy instead of stunning him. And so we don't want to do that. We're not out here to tickle people with these things. If you have to use it and someone else is getting beat up or something like that, I'm going to love my neighbor. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to help them in their situation. The Bible says, thou shalt not kill. I'm going to arrest that person in a sense of stopping him killing. And so whatever stance you lie on as a street preacher, I understand. I know there's two different variances. I tend to slant more on, I'm going to protect myself, and I'm going to keep on preaching. instead of having someone cave my teeth in. I'm going to the hospital. It stops the preaching. So thank you for your time. And like I said, $56, X12. I would recommend this to all the street preachers nation. All right, thank you.